Numbers and diagrams are highly abstract and condensed summaries of the world. They require a degree of mental effort to bridge the gap between them and the aspects of the real world they stand for. Approach them slowly and with care, allowing yourself time to get the feel of what you are looking at. Don't assume you already know what you are looking at. It's easy to be distracted by the surface appearance of a diagram, but we are really interested in the underlying message. If sea levels continue to rise, eventually the property becomes inundated and the real value of the property, the vast bulk of its value, will be in the value of the land, which of course is then unusual. And that's of course not insured by proper insurance. Landowners and banks and other financial institutions that have lent money against the value of those properties are going to find that they suffer very serious losses, and it's not at all obvious at the moment who would compensate them. Of 11 animals tested, 10 of the past turning their gaze back to Macau yet. And of the 10 who turned to look at him, 9 kangaroos actively shifted their gaze between the and the human. The results were published in December in the journal Biology. Letters this domestication hypothesis for all these behaviors we've relied on it, and I'm not saying that those are kangaroos are just good as dogs or anything like that, but I'm saying the cognitive capabilities of wild animals and are habituated to humans have probably been underestimated. In a new study he's gone even further. Enter kangaroos, and kangaroos generally haven't been used for any of that sort of research. I think most people, when I emailed him and suggested this problem-solving tasks with all straight by worth kangaroos, they thought I was kind of a diplomat or in some really eccentric scientist. Miguel rounded up a group of marsupials from 3 different zoos and sanctuaries. In all he tested 3 different species: kangaroos, eastern gray kangaroos, and red kangaroos. And dog, as it turns out, aren't the only species who can do this. In 2003, Hungarian biologist Adam Matt Kluki tested this ability in an experiment. He gathered a handful of dogs and a group of wolves. Both groups of canines had been raised from birth by people in much same way. He put a piece of food inside of that doggy-proof box. The wolves kept trying and failing to get the food inside, and we already know what the dogs did. An Egyptian narrative of about 1080 BC, the story of when Amen, provides an insight into the scale of their trading activity. One of the characters is Werkadel, a Phoenician merchant living at Tanis in Egypt's Nile deltas. As many as 50 ships carry out his business, plying back and forth between the Nile and the Phoenician port Od Sidon. The most prosperous period for Phoenicia was the 10th century BC, when the surrounding region was stable. Language often seems so skillfully drafted that one can hardly imagine it as anything other than the perfected handiwork of a master craftsman. How else could this instrument make so much out of barely 3 dozen measly morsels of sound? In themselves, these configurations of mouth, P, F, B, V, T, D, K, G, SH, A, E, and so on, amount to nothing more than a few haphazard spits and spotters, random noises with no meaning, no ability to express, no power to. You wake up in the middle of night in a strange hotel miles away from home, disoriented most probably from jet lag, when even the most expensive surroundings can seem empty and dispiriting. You have paid a great deal of money to stay in the first-class hotel with its contemporary technology, but according to recent research carried out by an international travel and public relations company, all is not well. Let's say you have a robot and it can go left into a house and right into a house. Let's say at first it goes left, it explores left. It means that it gets these intrinsic rewards for a while. It doesn't quite finish exploring left, and some points the episode ends and it starts new in the starting room, and this time it goes right. It goes very far into to have a room on the right, it doesn't quite explore it, and then it goes back to the starting room. Now the problem is because it has gone both left and right and basically is already seen, this market no longer gets as much intrinsic motivation from going there. Let's say you have a dog, or maybe your pup, you have a treat in your hands, so you have the dog's attention, then you put the treat into a doggy-proof box and let them figure it out. What do you think the dog will do? If you're a dog owner, you probably know, or Spike or Spot or Miss Fluffy will probably try in vain for a while. But soon they'll probably turn back to you with those puppy dog eyes with the look that's both hurt. Why would you make it so hard for them after all? And pleading that it turns out is a sophisticated cognitive phenomenon called referential communication, is an attempt to shift the human's attention towards the problem.